Hello and welcome to Tyms Book. So Tyms Book offers you features which help you streamline your finances for your business or businesses by managing your invoice, your receipts, your sales, inventory, expenses, customer bills, and every other thing you need to manage from your business or enterprise. So let's get started. There's the sales section on the Tyms Book account if you click on see all. The sales section, the inventory section, the purchases, and the business section. So the sales section contains all features needed for you to effectively manage the amount of money you get from selling the goods you provide and services you offer. An invoice is a document used to request payment for a service or product you as a seller offers. It contains the cost implications and quantity of items. So click on create invoice. You can add a brief invoice if you don't want to go too detailed, or you can add detailed invoice. Just click on add detailed invoice. Click on add customer. You can add a customer and new, or you can add an existing customer. So I'll just create a new customer. Enter the customer's email. Enter the customer's phone number. You can also choose to enter the customer's address. Click on save. You can also add an item. Select if it's a product or service. Enter the product's name, or you can select from the inventory. Just click on this. You can also enter the sales price. Just click on save. You can enter the payment details. You can select the currency. If the customer has already paid a certain amount, you can enter that in amount deposited. You can enter a discount amount if there's any discount you're giving. You can also choose to enter the percentage, which is by the right hand side. You can enter tax -7. You can select the payment type, cash in this case for me. You can also enter the shipping fee if there's a shipping fee. You can see the subtotal of the amount. You can also enter the invoice details, the due date for payment. You can select that too. You can choose this invoice date. You can select the category so that it will be easy for you when you're having your chart of account categorization. You can just click on sales. You can also enter an invoice number for yourself to keep track of this invoice. You can enter payment terms, like the account number is. You can also enter a personal note or comment. You can add shipping details if it took some form of delivery, and you can enter attachments. You can add an evidence image. So click on review invoice, and then you can click on submit. There you go, your invoice created successfully. So you can always edit, delete, view invoice, and manage payment. So let's check the other features. Go back to click on see all. You can also create a receipt. A receipt is the proof that a customer has made full payment for a particular purchase of good or service. So you click on create receipt. You can also add brief or add detailed. So click on add detailed if you want to. You can add customer. You can add an item. You can also scan barcode to populate this item page. You can add payment details. You can add receipt details. You can add shipping details just like the invoice. You can also add your bank details for which of the bank your payment enters, and you can add an evidence image as a backup for this receipt. So you can just go back. You can also record your sales by entering the items you sold for that transaction, the date, the customer involved, the amount paid, if there is a balance to pay, the due date, and all things pertaining to sales. So just like the record invoice, you click on record sales. You can add brief sales. I click on add brief sales. You can also add a customer. You can enter a title briefly, the title of things you sold. You can enter the total price in the add brief sales record, and you can also attach an evidence image. And if you want to add detailed sales, you can also go through the process, add a customer, add an item, add the payment details, add sales details like the category, the due date. You can add shipping details. You can also add the bank details which was used to receive the sales payment. So that's it for sales. You can also create a quote, which is a document that you as a seller can provide to a buyer to offer your goods for services at a stated price under specified conditions. So for your potential buyer to know how much goods or services it will cost before committing to the purchase. So once the customer commits, you can convert it to an invoice and share with that particular customer. So click on create quote. You can add brief quote or detailed quote. So just add the customer involved. I'll just add an existing customer. And the data is populated. Click on save. You can also add the item for this. You can select from inventory or add afresh. You can add payment details. You can add the quote details too. You can add the due date, the date that this quote will be valid for, the final date. You can add the shipping details too and add attachment. Click on review quote, and once it is approved, you can convert it to an invoice. You can also add customer and manage them, which are the people you sell to or the people that patronize you. Adding their details would enable you to add them to records they get involved in, just like we've been doing earlier. You can also choose to add inventory, which is the list of items you sell and the available quantity in stock. So you just click on add item like I did. You can select if it's a product or service. You can enter the product name. You can enter the stock you're entering. For example, if you just bought 12 bags, you can just enter 12 bags. You can choose pieces if you want to. As the unit, you can enter the sales price, which is the price you'll be selling it for per unit. And then you can enter the cost price, which is the price you bought it for. So if you bought it for 5,500 and you're selling it for 6,000, you can just enter this. You can click on save. And then your item will be added to your inventory. So you can always manage your inventory from here. Alright. So you can also scan your barcode and their data will be populated on the items page, and you can add them to records. On the purchases section, it contains all features needed for you to manage the amount of money you spend as a seller. So you can click on add expenses, which is the amount of money you spend for the cost of sales, cost of operations, maintenance, and so on. So you can capture receipts. You can capture a receipt and Tyms Book will read its details and add it to your expenses. You can also just add a brief or a detailed expense, like you add sales. Just like in this case, you deal with a vendor, which is the person you patronize. So you can click on add vendor. You can add from phone contact or add existing customer. You can also add payment details, expense details, shipping details, bank, and attachment. In the expense details, you can select category, add a personal note or comment. You can add the shipping details. You can add bank details and attachment too. You can also create order, which is a purchase order. So a purchase order is the list of items you want to buy with their prices sent from you to a supplier for an order. Once it is approved, it can be converted to a bill, and then you can make payments, and then you can track it. So just go back. You can also add a bill. Bills are expenses which have not been paid for. You can add an expense claim, which is a claim for an out-of-pocket expense. Maybe you paid for something for the company and you just want reimbursement. You can always add claim. You can click on add brief or add detailed expense claim. You add vendor, add the item, payment details, claim details, shipping details, bank details. You can add an attachment, as this will be important, maybe a receipt as an evidence for them to actually know that you spent your money on this particular set of items and this cost. So you can go back. You can also add vendor, which are the people you patronize. You can add from phone contact, add names, email, phone number, vendor business name or address. From time to time, you can add them to your record. You can also add a business and manage multiple businesses from this Tyms Book account. You can enter the business name, email address, phone number, and select the industry so Tyms Book would serve you better. You can edit the present business details and make it more professional by adding logo, a banner, an about, a website, business email, phone number, business address, or socials. You can add currency if you operate a multi-currency firm or enterprise. You can just select a list of currencies and enter the exchange rate yourself. You can add various team members and assign them different roles. These are the roles available. If you select an admin, then the person has overall control over your system. If you add a viewer, the person can view all the details on your system. If you add a editor, the person can make changes. And point of sales has access to only sales record on our point of sales app. You can also add a branch. This branch you can select from the ones you've added, which is a location of maybe a particular place of your business. You can have a branch in the UK, you can have a branch in Nigeria, you can have a branch in Ireland. You can just add that and select your branch from here. You can also have the various departments added on your Tyms Book mobile app, and you can select the departments from here too. The departments are various units or functions in your team or in your company. You can also select managers by adding them on your Tyms Book account and select the manager for this particular team member. You can click on save member and it will be saved. So you can also add bank manually or automatically. If you add the bank manually, you'll be updating the balance by yourself. If you add automatically, Tyms Book will help you spoon your transactions and you can always attach it to records. You can add chart of accounts to easily classify your transactions, especially for your financial statement. You can add the account name, account type, and account number. If there's anything outside the assets, liability, equity, and expenses, you can also add the branch, like I explained earlier. Just enter the branch name, state, country, and address. You can add departments. You can enter department name, maybe engineering or sales, and just click on add department. And here you have the list of your departments. So you can always add it to a team member when creating a team member. These are the things you need to know on your Tyms Book mobile app. Thank you.